people answered my question there outside in the dining room.
I hope that after the lunch,
And I will tell you just one sentence.
we won't go to the mood of snoozing, I guess. So Praveen said that we have to open. So our mind has to be open, as well as our mouth has to be open in order to give your input. So therefore, I hope that everyone's eyes is already open. I don't have to say anything to open. It's already open.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. I shall try to be brief because we really have to try to be businesslike if we're going to achieve anything in sort of 1.5 hours or so. So I'm going to try to make it as simple as possible and divide it into little chunks so that it's easier to discuss. There are quite any number of things, I suppose, that we would like to achieve through this meeting and meetings like it, if we could. But we simply don't have the time, and we haven't really prepared discussion on points well enough. It's sensible, I think, to focus mainly, although we can mention other things, but we want to focus on 3 things. That is, the 3 things that seem to me, and have seemed to me in discussion with my colleagues, I may say, to be particularly urgent and desirable. Now, not in order of importance or anything, but one of them is to promote the translation of the Pali scriptures into English, Hindi, and Marathi, and to publicize them and to distribute them in a way which makes them accessible to as many people as possible, on the whole, normally for no payment at all, but while keeping a good standard. That's number one. That's one. I'll just call them sort of 1, 2, and 3, and I'll deal with them in reverse order in a moment. Secondly, to share information about each other much more regularly, systematically, and informatively than has been the case hitherto. And the best means for doing that is certainly going to be an electronic means, having some web page, and although it's called a page, it would be obviously several pages. And thirdly, of the 3 things, what is perhaps, in my mind, the most ambitious and the most important, to have an organization which carries on the non-violent struggle that's generally known in the wider world as for the defense of Buddhism and the defense of discriminated against and oppressed people in India, in this case, whether or not they are Buddhists. Now, it's clear, I think, but perhaps not very important and not really worth discussing, that it would be possible to link all these 3 things together in due course, and to set up a defense organization which at the same time looked after translations and after the sharing of information. But I don't think that that's something we should concentrate on very much, whether these things are going particularly to be linked. It seems to me, however, obvious that if we manage to set up an organization, that would roughly take over from us and could carry on the project further, provided the people who were running it agreed. And the organization, because of the character for it that I propose, would not be, as some have suggested to me over lunch, for instance, a worldwide Buddhist organization. It would not be, at the other extreme, a local chapter of something or other. It would not be open to anybody. It would be an Ambedkarite body. And I would call it, perhaps, at least provisionally, of course, if you start arguing about names, that goes on forever, but the BACS, that is the Baba Saheb Ambedkar Compassionate Society. The Baba Saheb Compassionate Society. And I would like to see that created as a sort of an analog to what exists, as I said in my speech this morning, among so many communities in India. It would be a sort of, in all but name, it would be a caste organization for the communal organization for the Ambedkarites, but it would be a very special and unusual one, because it would be an organization which had the mission to defend two wider things: firstly Buddhism, and secondly oppressed people throughout India. And I think if we had such an organization, which, because of the nature of Ambedkarite Buddhism, it seems to me, and there may be great disagreement, would be essentially a lay organization, lay by force, it would be lay Ambedkar Buddhists. If we had that, they could organize the information network. I can see several functions for that network, which we can talk about later, and we can also talk about how we're going to get the translation done, which is a topic on which we already have reasonably advanced ideas. So, if you don't mind, I'd like to stop there and ask for people to discuss this proposal, that somehow we get such an organization founded. Now, how to do that, you need a lot of local knowledge for that. And also, as I've said, it's certainly not my right or prerogative or job to propose who's going to take the necessary steps. That has to be local people. But one further point about it, I think that in the end, it should hold more meetings. People should get together more and meet each other. But those meetings should be on a relatively local level. I think it would be a good idea to have a Bihar chapter, a Maharashtrian chapter, and those people could meet, and it wouldn't be very expensive to meet. If you hold more ambitious meetings like this one, of course it's very expensive to organize, very expensive for people to get to it, and it becomes rather random of who actually turns up. So I think that I envisage an Ambedkarite lay Buddhist society called the Baba Saheb Ambedkar Compassionate Society, to which any Ambedkarite would be welcome to join. I would not imagine that you would ask for a membership fee, but that's to be decided. And I think you would have to ask to join. You wouldn't be told you are a member because you are an Ambedkarite. You would have to ask to join. And if we could get such a thing going, I think it would be a wonderful umbrella organization for the activities that we envisage, in particular sort of activism in defense of Buddhism and defense of the poor and downtrodden. Thank you.